to the IELTS podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
My name is Ben Worthington, and we're looking at IELTS Writing Task 2, and we're specifically looking at how to write one main idea per paragraph for your essay. If this is your first time listening to IELTS podcast, I'd like to give you a warm welcome. You are in the right place. You've chosen the right tutor. He's amazing. He's very modest as well. Now, my name is Ben Worthington, and I've been helping students with the IELTS exam now for over 12 years. I started probably the same way you got into IELTS. Like, what is this? How the heck am I going to write this essay? Why am I repeating myself? Why is this essay garbage? What am I doing wrong? What do I have to do to get right, to get a better score? These were all my questions when I started out teaching IELTS. So what I did is I started asking around. I asked professionals, speaking experts, ex-IELTS examiners, current examiners. They could never say that they are current examiners, by the way. They can't advertise themselves as current examiners. They've always got to say ex-IELTS examiners. Anyway, I started asking all of these professionals. I recorded the interviews, and then I tested out what they told me. If it worked, it went into our online courses where students every week are using these courses, using the tools we provide as well, and passing the IELTS exam. Now, nowadays, you're probably aware most students are using tools rather than information. And at the end of this tutorial, I'm going to share with you a useful tool on how to get a system in place. Another useful tool would be the automatic AI essay checker that we launched a couple of months ago on our site that checks your essay for free. However, if you're in a pickle, if you need to improve quickly, you've got your exam coming up, you probably want to get the premium version, which is still, I think, inexpensive compared to getting a human essay correction. You can pay it for like $12 a month, submit as many essays as you want to, and with the premium one, you get more detailed feedback, which means you get a more accurate score, which means you can pinpoint exactly what you need to work on so you can improve faster. So go over to IELTS Podcast, check that out, test it out, possibly upgrade to the premium one, and then you'll be able to see which parts of your essay are costing you points. Now, this tutorial that I share with you fits very well with this automatic essay checker as well, because one of the criteria in the essay checker is like one idea per paragraph. That doesn't mean, well, let's, before I go into it, let me just explain, let me rewind a bit and tell you about the two types of students. There's usually two types of students who are struggling with the IELTS exam. There's the ones who have an explosion of ideas and just cannot figure out what to write and end up writing a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of that, and then they remember something else that might be useful. They throw it in there, and it's just overwhelming. They're like, I've got so many ideas. This is a mess. And then there's the other type of student that they see a question and they're just like, silence. Nothing. And they really struggle with this. And it's frustrating because they're like, I'm going to spend 5 minutes now just trying to understand what the question is and how to get the ideas. So this is not to worry. Okay, if you suffer from an explosion of ideas, we've got a system that helps you organize them and drop them into a framework, which I'll share with you later. If you've got an implosion of ideas, zero ideas, your mind goes blank, then what you need to do is an exercise that we've incorporated on our course. And you can do this by yourself. You just get a list of task 2 questions, maybe about 20, 30, you go through, and if you've got zero ideas for a question, you just take the topic of that question, put it into Google, put it into a search engine, maybe Baidu, whatever, and then try and get some information on that topic and come back. I think there's a good website called Pros and Cons, actually, and you could literally probably even just put in the question and it'll say, okay, the pros of jail time as a punishment for crime are XYZ, and the cons are ABC. And it'll literally just answer the question. Now you've got some ideas for the next time you see a question about punishment. Now, the advantage of using the list that we send you when you join our course is that we'll review that list and we'll say, actually, your answer for question 16 is a little bit off. How about this? Or the question for your answer or reasons for question 2 need to be refined a little bit. You've gone a bit off topic. But the main idea is that you get into the habit of building your idea generation muscle. Now, the next step, you've got your question, you've classified it, and you've got your position. Now you need to generate some ideas. Some tutors, amateur students, say brainstorming is a terrible idea. Now, in the exam, obviously, any intelligent person knows that you're not going to spend 15 minutes thinking of ideas. At the end of the day, it's not the quality of your ideas, it's the quality of your communication that counts. This is a language exam, not an intelligence exam. Therefore, you only need a few valid ideas. However, if you are a student that struggles with ideas, you need to build this skill of brainstorming for ideas. So at home, brainstorm as long as necessary. There's no point saying never brainstorm, because that's just stupid. You need to build this skill, and you need to build it to the point where you can generate ideas, quality, simple ideas, quickly, and then select one or two that you're going to develop. Now, when you're selecting these ideas, as I just said, go for the easiest to explain and the most relevant. If, while you're writing your essay, another idea pops into your head, take that idea and screw it up and throw it in the bin. Okay, you don't need it. Don't start adding it. It's going to mess up your flow. Just stick with the idea. Hopefully you developed an example as well, and then develop it. Now, the general structure of your body paragraph will be general to specific. We paraphrase, we say this is because, we give an example, and this is the general pattern, going from very broad to very specific. When I say specific, we're giving company names. Facebook, if we're talking about social media. Shell, if we're talking about petrol. Not TikTok. I don't know. North Face or Under Armour or Nike, if we're talking about clothing. Okay? Examples like this will help you demonstrate your points. Again, we don't have to always go with companies. We can go with organizations. We can go with universities. Just try and make it specific. Now, finding an example is another skill you need to master. And I've done previous tutorials about this. We've got a whole module about it in the course. And it's a skill that's going to help you write more effectively. Now, let's just go back to the title of this tutorial, one main idea. So you've probably heard me say, generate a few ideas, select one or two, and now, even though we're going to have one main idea, we can still mention two, maybe even three. But the key here is to choose one and develop that one idea. So we may mention point argument 1, argument 2, argument 3, and then for argument number 3, we develop it further with an example. Okay, so a very basic example now could be climate change could be mitigated by encouraging the use of renewable energy, encouraging the population to recycle, reuse, and dispose of products properly, and finally subsidizing electronic cars so as to reduce air pollution. For example, the government in Norway offers zero taxes for any electrical cars that are bought after 2020. This has helped reduce air pollution by over 50%, and subsequently the amount of sufferers of asthma and other lung-related diseases has fallen dramatically. Okay, so I give, in that example, I sort of like mentioned 3 points, and then I went with the last one and I really developed it. Now, to give examples, as I said, countries, companies, government organizations, rules and regulations. If you can remember the title, the Clean Water Act in the United States, you can even invent them. You know, at the end of the day, this is not a test of your intelligence, it's a test of your ability to communicate. It's a language exam. We can say the Clean Air Act in Georgia, for example. We could say the Smart Energy Use Act in Scotland, 2019. Reduced air pollution by over 40% in the major cities, whatever, okay? The examiner doesn't have time or interest to go and Google about the Clean Air Act that you just invented. Obviously, if you've got one that you know is real, that's obviously superior, but if it sounds real, that's fine. You're not going to get fact checked on this. Just make sure it's realistic, you know? Don't be saying something like, Egypt is the number one source for global drinkable water due to its abundant water resources. No, we all know that Egypt is near the desert. It's a dry country. That's just ridiculous, you know? Next one. What are ineffective examples? So imagine we're talking about air quality again, and we talked about, let's say, when we said the government should subsidize electrical car use, or EVs, electric vehicles. The government should subsidize electric vehicles. And then in the example I said, I talked about Norway. A bad example would be, my brother recently bought a Tesla, and he said that his lungs are incredible now because he's no longer breathing any car fumes. That's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous for two parts, but we don't want to be mentioning my brother. My friend went abroad to study in Canada and is now earning 3 times what she could have earned in, Nepal for whatever. Also, so your examples, this shouldn't be personal, okay? We've got to generalize them. We've got to make it, it's got to be specific, but we've got to generalize it. It can't be personal from your personal experience. Your brother, your uncle. You can't remember, you can't say something like, I remember seeing lots of Teslas in my recent trip to Norway. No. Just say Teslas are very frequent in Norway due to the government subsidization scheme. You see? There is a time and a place for putting in your opinion. That comes near the end. And in that case, you would say, therefore, it is abundantly clear that pollution has to be reduced, and the government is the main party responsible for this, or the main actor responsible for this initiative. Now, final point. As I've said, if you have a tool such as a framework that you can use for every question that you see, this whole process becomes far more effective, more efficient, and far easier for you, especially if you're using the same system day in, day out for your preparation. It becomes automatic. It becomes like your muscle memory. When you jump on a bike, you know how to ride it now automatically. You're not thinking, oh, I should balance, or I got to lift this foot now. It becomes automatic. And this is what happens to students that go through our course, and they see the question. They've got a system to follow, and this, because they know exactly what to do, whatever question, it takes less time. They're more confident, they're more relaxed, And this extra time is valuable. It's one of those things, like I said, marginal gains. Now you can write and complete your essay in 35 minutes instead of the 40 minutes that you might have allocated for yourself. And you've got an extra 5-6 minutes to check for errors. This all adds up. Also, if you're using the frameworks course, for example, you save time studying grammar because we give you the grammar structures, we give you the sentence structures, and the more times you use them, the more times you get feedback using these structures, the more confident you get, and the quicker the writing process gets, and the better quality the essay is, or the better the quality of the essay is. So there we go. That's it for today. I don't want to take any more of your time. Hopefully you got a lot of value from this tutorial. If you did, then you would find our courses, they're all very similar, in a similar fashion. Sometimes I get worked up, get angry, but it's all part of the learning process. It's all part of the course. If you found this useful, then you're probably going to enjoy our courses, our tutorials there. We'll probably be doing some special promotions soon, so sign up to the email list at IELTSPodcast.com. We've got a whole range of tutorials on how to pass fast, how to pass effectively, and how to get the band score that you need in order to transform your life and in order to move ahead and say goodbye to IELTS. Right, it's the end of the tutorial. If you got a lot of value from this, I don't charge for these tutorials. All I ask that is, if you got value from this, if you found it useful, if you find yourself using techniques from these tutorials, the next time you write an essay, an IELTS essay, then send it to your friend, help them as well, share it, and I would be very grateful if you could do that. That would help us a ton, because we can help more people, and we can just move forward, get through IELTS, start with Thank you very much. Great idea.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.